Hey everybody, it's Eric from GameShampoo.com. Today is Tuesday, December 17th. I had to think about that for a second there. Because I'm doing this video a little bit later than I usually do. Usually try to do it on Sunday evening and have it uploaded either by Monday morning or sometime in the middle of Sunday night, depending on how fast everything processes and stuff like that. But I am like a little bit late on getting this video up for the week of December I guess we'll just go all the way up until today and say December 8th from last Sunday up through today the 17th. And that is because I've had a lot of things, actually like a surprising number, given that it's basically the middle of December, come in for review at kind of the last minute. So mostly like DLC stuff. But pretty big stuff that I didn't want to just ignore, forget about, and whatever. So I decided I'd put off the video for a night or so. And I'll get to all that stuff later because we do have a lot of reviews going up this week. Especially, like I said, for the middle of December, it's pretty surprising how many games are still coming out, or how many DLC things are coming out for games that seem like they just came out a couple weeks ago. But I'm going to start, as usual, with the news from the last week and then move into what's coming up for the rest of this week and the rest of December in general. We're finishing off our Game of the Year stuff. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to tell you what our top 20 games of the year are, in which we will unveil, obviously, the Game of the Year. So stay tuned for that. That's exciting stuff. And today and the last week, we've had a bunch of other Game of the Year stuff go up, so all that's been pretty exciting and pretty hectic. I've been trying to catch up on certain games that I feel like I probably should have played, but for whatever reason they just kind of slipped under the radar. Stuff like, and now I'm totally blanking on it, but like Risk of Rain on Steam, which is like a multiplayer 2D platformer with roguelike elements, I guess I'll say, because people freak out whenever you call something a roguelike. Even though it's pretty safe to say the definition of that word has just changed by now. Doesn't mean what it used to mean anymore necessarily, but that game's really cool with multiple players. So I thought it looked really good. I've heard a lot of people saying good things about it before the year came to a close. So stuff like that and other kind of small games that I feel like maybe slipped under the radar. I've been trying to squeeze all that stuff down into this weekend, and there are still games that I haven't played as much as I would have liked to. I played like 20 minutes of Mario and Luigi for the 3DS at like an event or somebody's house or like somewhere. I don't actually own that game, but I played it somewhere and it seems pretty cool, but I don't really know enough about it to really say one way or the other. But I've played just about everything I want to play this year, just about everything that I think has a chance of making it onto any of these lists. And I'm pretty proud of where the top 20 and all that stuff stands right now. I think it's a pretty good representation of what was really awesome this year and why I couldn't just pick 10 games this year to talk about. I had to pick 20. So anyways, let's start back at the beginning of last week and talk about how the NSA spied on World of Warcraft and Xbox Live players. This is kind of an interesting / funny story / also kind of creepy. Edward Snowden has been releasing all these leaks, as you probably know, relating to NSA and mostly the NSA and their activities spying on people domestically and abroad. And in collaboration with The Guardian on December 9th, Edward Snowden released more documents, this time discussing how the government spied on World of Warcraft and Xbox Live gamers, and basically the aim was to infiltrate these online communities in which, according to the NSA's thinking, there was enough commerce flow going back and forth that terrorists could fund one another digitally by sending money back and forth without really arousing much suspicion because there's so much activity going on. Which I guess, sure, I don't know, that seems like kind of a weird theory, but let's go with it. They also infiltrated Second Life and various other kind of cult online games like that. And at a certain point, there were so many government agents in these online games that they actually had to create a group for themselves to all participate in so that they wouldn't spy on one another. And so we've got a quote down here that the multiple uses for intelligence collecting that the government saw in this program included hacking attacks, building pictures of people's social networks through buddy lists and interactions, making approaches by undercover agents, and obtaining target identifiers like profile photos, location, and communications in general. They tried to recruit regular gamers into their weird little spy clans too. No word on whether or not this has actually resulted in any arrests or any leads or if anybody did join up with them, but it's happening and it's weird. It's really strange. Speaking of online games, No Man's Sky was released at the VGX Awards, and that's probably the game that everybody is most talking about in the following week and a half from the awards show. And we actually have the first details of that game up on the site right now, so you probably saw that trailer by now. You're probably wondering, okay, this looks pretty cool. You see the guy swimming around underwater and he gets in his spaceship and seamlessly flies off into space. No loading screens, anything like that. But you're probably wondering, what exactly is it that I do in this game? Is it a shooter? Is it a platformer? Is it an adventure game? Like, what's going on here? What are the specifics? So, I'm not going to say too much because it is it's a fairly lengthy read that we've got up. And there's a lot of interesting stuff. A lot of interesting quotes from the developers at Hello Games, who previously developed Joe Danger and Joe Danger 2, but every atom is procedural, like they say in the trailer, and the crux of the game is based around exploration, with you starting at the very outside fringe of the universe, or of the galaxy, I guess, and then moving inwards through solar systems and stuff like that, and exploring all these randomly generated planets as you go. And there's a lot of social hooks kind of like built in to the game. So if you find a planet, you can share that planet with other people, but the resources on each planet, the wildlife, minerals, stuff like that, are all finite, and people can come to that planet and take those and actually mine the planet barren, drive entire species extinct, and then you won't see any of that stuff in your game ever again. So it's kind of a choice of, do I want to share this discovery with everybody else, or do I want to hoard it for myself? And there's a lot more crazy stuff like that where that came from, so go check out the article, No Man's Sky, First Details. It was posted on December 9th. It's up on the news page right now. And it looks really cool. So, what else? Telltale is developing a Game of Thrones game. We had that up on the site even before the VGX announcement. But we've gotten a few more details out of HBO, and we've got a quote or two. So, the multi-year, multi-partnership, let's start that over again. The multi-year, multi-title partnership between Telltale and HBO Global Licensing is targeted to premiere digitally in 2014 with an episodic game series for home consoles, PC, Mac, and mobile devices. Specific platform details are yet to be announced. And then Telltale followed up with a statement from Dan Connors, their CEO. Since the very beginning, Telltale's goal has been to work alongside the most talented and respected forces in entertainment, bringing their worlds to the interactive space as no other game studio can. Working with HBO to develop a new game series based on Game of Thrones is a natural fit for our studio. This partnership will create an experience that will captivate the huge global Game of Thrones audience and will put them in control of the epic stories of warfare, intrigue, violence, and revenge that we know and love. So, pretty much sounds like a Game of Thrones game out of Telltale, like exactly what you would expect out of that Walking Dead, Fables, down at Formula. And that sounds like exactly what I wanted, so kudos to that. And I guess the big thing there is that it should be a multi-year deal. So like with The Walking Dead, we had season 1 last year, and now we've got season 2 that just came out today, this year. So we should be able to expect some kind of similar kind of structure for that, where the Game of Thrones will premiere next year with season 1, and then hopefully there should be a second season the year after that. So we got kind of a funny online retailer screw up for our next news story. Being in America, I'm not really totally sure what Zavvi is. I want to say it's a UK retailer, but I'm not totally sure. But online retailer Zavvi accidentally sent out free PlayStation Vita consoles to gamers when they were supposed to be sending out copies of the game Tearaway. Basically what happened here is that their database had kind of an error in entry, and there's a Tearaway PS Vita bundle, and then there's the Tearaway game, and the bundle comes with the game and a console. Costs like $160 or something like that, or more than that. I think it's like $360 or some, large amount of money, vastly more than the $30 or $40 that Tearaway costs. And people who bought Tearaway accidentally ended up getting, in some cases, the bundle with the console and the game in it and all that stuff. And Zavvi put out this statement: "We are sorry to inform you that due to an error in our warehouse, we have dispatched the incorrect product. We're contacting you in order for us to arrange a collection of the incorrect item, which is on its way to you. If possible, please keep the parcel in its original packaging, ready to hand back to the courier." That's not necessarily necessary if you receive that console. They want the Vitas shipped back to them by 5 p.m. on December 10th, so if you've got yours still, then obviously you're breaking that request. But they wanted consumers to send the Vitas back to them because they basically bought a Vita console for like $40, and Zavvi screwed up. However, legally, a lot of people are saying they're not necessarily allowed to do that, with one consumer being quoted as saying the distance selling regulations are very clear on this. If you've been sent unsolicited goods, you are entitled to treat them as an unconditional gift and do with them as you choose. You are not required to keep them for any amount of time. You are certainly not required to pay for them. Any attempt to demand payment by threatening means or otherwise is unlawful. So there's an interesting situation breaking out there where Zavvi is threatening people kind of subtly to send their Vitas back, but they might not necessarily be allowed to do that legally. So if you received a free Vita, and if you have it still, then you may want to look a little bit deeper into shipping laws, and I believe it's in the UK. Call of Duty Ghosts is getting a wolf dog skin for DLC. It's going to cost you $3. Yeah, I know, $3 for a dog skin. And it's only usable in multiplayer, not in the single player, so you can't transform Riley into a wolf dog or anything. But this will transform your attack dog, kill streak, into a pack of wolves, which, hey, that's cool, I guess. I believe, let me check, but I believe this is out in retail now. We posted it originally on the 10th, and yeah, it came out in retail on the 12th. So that's $3. Should be able to find it in retail, or probably on Xbox Live, or on the PlayStation Network, or various other online networks as well. I think that's a little ridiculous. But hey, whatever. Battlefield, on the other hand, still crashing a whole lot. It's been patched like, I don't know, twice, at least in the last 7 days, on various platforms. The PC just got a patch, so I'll scroll up to that one. That was a little more recent. But I'll talk the PS4 patch, and I will talk the PC patch as well at the same time. Just lump all that stuff together. There's actually been a lot of Battlefield 4 news, and it's pretty much all disastrous for EA, which probably has their fans kind of giddy. So there's a PC patch. This one came out on the 16th, so if you've been holding out for this one, it came out on Monday. And again, this is targeted specifically at the PC, and these are the fixes from DICE's mouth themselves. So, a fix for a crash that would cause the game to stall, resulting in a sound loop. This should eliminate most problems relating to this. And in a lot of these cases, they say most problems, so not necessarily all problems, which I should point out is pretty important, because I'll read the PS4 patch notes in a second, and pretty much all the things they say they've fixed, I've still been experiencing online as I've been trying to review China Rising. So, excuse me. So, they fixed the SUAV not exploding when hitting enemy soldiers. While these should indeed be deadly, they were never designed for road-killing opponents. Fix for an issue where 4 times the damage from a vehicle's minigun would be applied to the chest when a player had the defense specialization equipped. A fix for player tags not always showing when needed to, resulting in players shooting teammates. A fix for graphical flickering appearing on terrain. Fix the instance where players suddenly would transition into spectator mode while playing the defuse game mode. Fix for a defuse bug where none of the teams would win a round by letting the timer run out. Fix for players getting stuck in the revive screen after being killed. Fix for players getting stuck in the kill camera after being revived. Fix for the game mode specific ribbons being counted twice in the multiplayer progression. People are probably bummed out about that one a little bit. Made NVIDIA 331.82 or later driver versions mandatory for all players. Jeez. Disable DirectX 11.1 on NVIDIA cards that have outdated drivers. Fixed driver version not being properly detected on NVIDIA Optimus systems. Fixed a minor crash that could occur when bringing up the scoreboard. Fixed one of the issues related to the so-called netcode. So that is the PC patch, which came out yesterday. This is the PS4 patch, which fixed a couple things, totally different list. So let me read over this one really quickly. This came out on the 11th. So I think the main thing this one was supposed to fix, I don't have the full list of stuff, but the main one this one was supposed to fix was the crashing, which has not 100% gone away still. I have had the game crash on me once or twice since the 11th. But they wanted to fix the persistent crashing, which was caused by vehicles and a battle log integration and stuff like that. And they're trying to fix the sound stuff, but in my experience, no sound still plays the first 30 seconds or so when you get into a match. Or maybe like your vehicle sound will play a little bit, but you won't really hear anything else. And then there's also, let's see, they removed client crashes, supposedly removed the audio drops. Okay, here we go. They took out the blur effect on soldiers that commanders would see when using EMP attacks, reduced the probability of corrupted save files even further by making tiny changes to the save system, and nixed the multiplayer crashes that would happen when you transitioned into the battle log. So that's that. More Battlefield news. Refunds are apparently being offered for Battlefield 4 Premium via both Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network, through EA themselves though, mind you. So if you want to get a refund for Battlefield Premium, which is a $50 purchase, so I feel like you would be entitled to a refund to that if you're really not satisfied with Battlefield, you can contact Sony or contact Microsoft about that, and hopefully you'll get a refund for it. It seems kind of iffy, I don't know, but there have been a lot of reports of people getting refunds, so your mileage may vary, but you could potentially get $50 back. Finally, maybe the most interesting news about Battlefield this week. EA is under investigation for potentially lying about the status of Battlefield 4 to its investors. Law firm Holzer and Fistel announced this morning, that being on the 12th, that they are compiling an investigation into EA consisting of federal security laws between July 24th, 2013 and December 4th, 2013, and how EA may have violated them. The investigation focuses on statements during that time regarding the development of sales of the company's Battlefield 4 video game and the game's impact on EA's revenue and projects moving forward. EA's stock fell by 7% when they announced that they weren't going to develop any Battlefield DLC or feature games or anything like that until they fixed Battlefield 4, so it just means more trouble for them, I guess. But hey, at least they're not going to screw up any more games in the future, right? Like, how could they possibly do that again? Oh yeah. there's NBA Live 14, which is also a total huge mess, and they had to send out an apology letter for that game too, which was kind of a bummer. What else do we have? That was all the Battlefield stuff. We've had rumors going around ever since Forza 5 came out that Microsoft was the one who forced the microtransactions into the game, which is not apparently true, according to Forza 5 developer Turn 10. Let's see. Honestly, I think, unfortunately, people attribute too much communication to this organization, which is a really funny quote to say. That's from Turn 10's creative director, Dan Greenwald, by the way. I think that's pretty funny that they say that. Unfortunately, I think people attribute too much communication between the publisher and the developer. Like, we don't talk at all. They have no idea what's going on. Like, what the truth is, at Turn 10, while I'm a Microsoft employee, we're off-site and we have our own culture and work our product to have that culture. We have our own process and all that. For the most part, Microsoft sees it as we're doing a good thing, so keep it up and we'll leave it alone. There's, I guess, like speculation because Forza has microtransactions, Rise has transactions in it, Crimson Dragon has microtransactions, Killer Instinct is basically built around microtransactions, despite being a really good game. So, you know, it's kind of natural to see, hey, like, here's all these games that Microsoft published. Like, the only one that doesn't have that stuff in it is Dead Rising, as far as I know. So, but the ridiculous thing with Forza, especially compared to the other games, is how they give you, like, I don't know, like 2/3 of the cars that were in Forza 5 and Forza Horizon, and they give you, like, barely any tracks. I forget how many tracks total are in that game. I think it's like 14, but, like, barely any. And then they ask you to pay more money for a season pass and pay more money for, like, XP boosts, and it's like you have to pay a ton of money to, like, buy cars, or at least you did up until recently. That's kind of the next news point. And it's kind of got kind of ridiculous with how much money you had to pour into that game after already paying $60 for it, and you're not even getting that much content in return, and the content you're getting is worse than it was before because of all the crappy Drivatar AI junk. So it just got kind of ridiculous, and people got kind of sick of it. So good on them that they actually addressed it. So they have patched the game on the Xbox One to kind of lessen the need for microtransactions and stuff like that. They acknowledge the trouble in their quote, and they cut the prices of cars by a massive 45%. So the earn rate of your money should be the same still, but the rate at which you are able to buy cars should be vastly increased, which is probably a welcome change for a lot of people. They're also adding new modes, drag racing and tag. There's Keep the It. One player begins the match as It. The goal of the It player is to keep It status for as long as possible. It status transfers each time someone makes contact with the It player. Once the match timer has completed, the player with the most It time wins. There's Tag Virus. One player begins the match as It. Each time an It player makes contact with another car, the It status spreads like a virus. The last unaffected player standing wins the match, so it's kind of like a zombie mode almost. And that was in Forza Horizon last year, and it was a lot of fun. And then there's Pass the It, which is similar to Keep the It. One player begins a Pass the It match with It status. It status transfers each time someone makes contact with the It. At the end of the match, the player with the least amount of It wins. Of course, there's just basic drag racing, which is being added to the game as well. All that stuff will be free. It's all coming in a free patch, and actually it should be out by now. That was released on the 13th, so it should all be out for you right now. Let's see, PS4 and Xbox One were, at least as of December 13th, I'm not sure now, both in stock at GameStop stores. You couldn't really buy them online unless you wanted to buy them in a bundle, which cost about $600 to $700 depending on the console. But you could buy them in stores. Your mileage obviously may vary on that one, especially now. It's been 4 days since I wrote that news story. That was originally on like Thursday. So, but they were in stock at the very least at GameStop, and Xbox Ones were back in stock at Amazon. So either way, when you ordered one of those, you would have gotten it in time for the holidays. So if you got one already, then good on you. If you don't have one already, keep looking. We're going to update every time we find more stock somewhere, like Target, GameStop, Amazon, whatever. So just stay tuned if you want one for the holidays. And I guess as a last resort, go to eBay, but don't really go to eBay. Like, scalping is lame. Minecraft has sold over 23 million units so far. Let that sink in, and then think about what you've been doing with your life. The indie game from Notch is now out on the PS3, the Xbox 360, and the PC. The PS3 version just came out today, you guys. Just came out today, and it'll be out on the PS4 and the Vita pretty soon, sometime in 2014, but it should be early 2014. The Xbox 360 edition has sold over 10 million copies. It came out on both disc and digital for the Xbox 360. And the game has sold over 13 million copies on PC through download. And Marcus Person revealed that on Twitter on the 17th. So the PS3 version came out today. It's probably moved even more copies than that. And yeah, the game is making those dudes a ton of money. As you can see, if you go to pretty much like any charity site where you can donate stuff, Notch is always pretty up near the top. He donated like $500 to the Ludum Dara Game Jam challenge thing this weekend. He donates usually to the Humble Bundle in some form or another, especially if it's a bigger one. So, yeah, a ton of money, but at least he's doing some interesting stuff with it. So Minecraft is also coming to the Xbox One sometime next year. I should mention that too. Kind of slipped my mind. So Xbox One, PS4, and Vita versions still incoming, currently available on PC and Mac, and PS3 and Xbox 360. Sold a ridiculous number of copies. But again, if you're an indie developer, don't expect that to be you necessarily. Most indie games aren't nearly that successful, and a lot of them aren't successful at all. So we not to suddenly nosedive into a huge bummer of a story, but we do have a story with the Outlast developers at Red Barrels who talk about how tough it was for them to secure funding and how kind of touch and go it was for a little while there when they were developing Outlast, and that is linked at the bottom of the Minecraft story if you're interested in that. We did that discussion a couple months ago. Dead Rising 3's Operation Eagle DLC was announced. This one will cast you as a new character, so you're now working for the U.S. government, and you're trying to protect the president from the zombies. You're going to get a new combo vehicle and a new weapon too, as well as, of course, new achievements, and it's going to be $10. That's included in the Season Pass, by the way, so if you have the Season Pass, then you're good to go. Destiny's endgame missions will require co-op play. Bungie confirmed that much themselves to Game Informer yesterday. You absolutely are going to be able to play Destiny by yourself and have the same kind of fun shooter experience that you could have in a single-player campaign, which is a word that we've weeded out of our vocabulary, Jason Jones told Game Informer yesterday. But we're going to give you this great player progression on top of that, and we're going to give you as many opportunities as possible to expose you to other people so that hopefully you're drawn into some social experiences, because those are incredibly powerful and interesting. But we're not going to force those on you. We describe it in a lot of ways as sloping the floor towards socialization without putting a requirement on it. I would say that there's some sort of, if you wanted to talk about it in MMO terms, you'd say endgame activities. But some of these more intense non-competitive activities in the game do require cooperation. They require a group of players to tackle it at once. I guess at some variable distant endpoint, we're going to say, yeah, if you show up at this door and you don't have 5 friends, you're not going to be able to succeed. but the core experience that solo players have enjoyed in shooters, they're going to be able to do that. And we're going to pull many of them into social experiences as well. So there you have it. The end game missions of Destiny. You'll be able to beat the story, but the end game missions in Destiny, you're not going to be able to get through them unless you have co-op partners with you. Sometimes up to like 5 people, apparently. We've got the Battlefield stuff. Talked about that already. Even the most recent ones. Already discussed how Minecraft is now on the PS3. That was a story that we put up yesterday. They actually just revealed that release date yesterday, too, which is kind of nuts. And now we're caught up with today. So today I posted several reviews and some Game of the Year stuff. I'm going to go over all the Game of the Year stuff now, or like going over the reviews. So I reviewed the first episode of The Walking Dead Season 2, which is called All That Remains. So you're going to want to check that out, because everybody's super psyched for that. And we've also got the Assassin's Creed 4 DLC Freedom Cry coming out today. I also reviewed that one for you. I know, I love you. What can I say? Just give and give. So we've got 2 reviews up today. Both of them are pretty fascinating, especially for video games and the subject matter that they're usually comfortable with covering. We've got, people dying left and right in horrible tragedy and drama in The Walking Dead, and then we've got a game, a AAA game nonetheless, that actually tackles slavery in Freedom Cry, which is just super fascinating. So you're going to want to check out both of those reviews and see what else I had to think of those games. And then I posted a Game of the Year thing today, and this is going to be the final Game of the Year post before we get into the 2 big lists, the top 20 best games of 2013 and our most anticipated games of 2014. A lot of next-gen stuff, a lot of cool indie stuff on the horizon, so you're going to want to check out both of those. Today, however, I put up the Best Early Access Title Award of 2013, and we've got plenty of other categories following that. So yesterday was the top 10 indie games of 2013. That was a really fun list to put together. A lot of really, really, really compelling indie games that came out in 2013. Before that, we had the Most Improved Sequel or Reboot Award. And before that one, there was... I'm going to have to scroll to a different page, because I totally forget what I put before that. It was the platform stuff before that. So before that, on the 13th, or on the 12th, was the Best PC Exclusive Game of 2013. The day before that was the Best Wii U Exclusive of 2013. Before that was the Best PS4 Exclusive of 2013 and the Best PS3 Exclusive of 2013. The day before that was the Best Xbox One Exclusive of 2013 and the Best Xbox 360 Exclusive of 2013. Before that, we had the Best Vita Exclusive, and to kick it all off on the very first day, the Best Nintendo 3DS Exclusive of 2013. So, again, we've got platform-specific stuff down, handled. You want to see what the best PS4, PS3, Xbox One, Xbox 360, 3DS, Vita, PC, Wii U games are this year. We got you covered. If you want to see what the best sequel or reboot was, best indie games, best early access games on Steam, we've got all that stuff up. Top 20 coming tomorrow, and then most anticipated games of the year coming at the end of the week. So that's recent reviews, and that's recent Game of the Year stuff. I should have a review of China Rising DLC for Battlefield 4 up very soon. I just have to make sure that I actually get into all those maps and stuff, and kind of get a sense of the balance of all those maps. But I think I'm pretty close. And as for other releases, I think we're really, I said this last time, but I think we're really starting to get into the home stretch and in terms of stuff that's just going to stop coming out. So, new releases on Steam include, obviously, The Walking Dead Season 2, and a surprising number of other really tiny games that I kind of never heard of. So Viscera Cleanup details Santa's Revenge, or Santa's Rampage, I'm sorry. It's $2 on Steam right now, and that game is ridiculously dumb. Basically, you're just walking around with a mop cleaning up blood and stuff after a huge battle. I wasn't aware that that was coming to Steam, and that it was going to charge people money. So that's $2. Ballpoint Universe Infinite is $3, and that just released today. I have no idea what that is. So, well, let's read about it. It is a shoot-'em-up adventure game featuring artwork entirely drawn in ballpoint pen. Okay. That feels it. It's $3. Dimension 2 HD is out for $15 normally, but 25% off right now. There's some DJ software up there called Flow DJ. Ray Supreme 3D is some 3D modeling and texturing software. Tiny Thief is a new indie game for $15, where you sneak through 6 different worlds and steal stuff Robin Hood style. Motor Rock came out on Monday. It says, again, I have no idea what this is. A crazy isometric race with stunning rock music and Varoom. Okay. So it's a game about rock and roll racing, I guess. Violet came out on Steam on Monday, or rather, on Thursday. And it's kind of an adventure, indie game. I'm not totally sure what exactly that is, but it's about all I know about it. And Blockland, which basically looks like a Lego, I don't want to say Minecraft. It kind of just looks like Lego, the video game, without the Lego license. I was checking this game out this morning, and it looks super weird. They show people racing and like carts, and they show people like flying through cities and fighting each other and all this stuff. And I guess the implication is that the cities and the cars and at one point they're in like a first-person shooter thing, like doing a death match. And I guess the implication is that all that stuff is built kind of Minecraft style or Lego style, block by block, and infused with some sort of intelligence. So that's really interesting. People seem to like it in the reviews so far, so take that for what it's worth. And it's only $6.70 right now, normally $10. And there was one more game that I did want to bring up. Stick It to the Man, that's what it was. This game came out on the PlayStation Network on the same day that the PS4 came out, but it was a PS3 game, so that was probably kind of a bummer for them. Really probably overshadowed their game, but it is an interesting little kind of personality-driven puzzle platformer, really. Some kind of almost Psychonauts-esque personality to it, and that's on Steam now as well. Just came out. So a lot of stuff still coming out on Steam thanks to all these indies. But more AAA stuff, that's all dried up for the year. So I guess that's probably about gonna do it for the week. Yeah, we got the Battlefield China Rising review coming up, and various new stuff and Game of the Year stuff coming up tomorrow and Thursday and Friday. So stay tuned. Got kind of the biggest stories of the year are yet to come, and we've got Assassin's Creed, we've got Walking Dead reviews up on the site right now. We've got a lot of Game of the Year stuff already up on the site, so if you want to check that out, it's GameShampoo.com/magazine. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.